What's up, family? Love you guys. I've missed you. I have been really busy, and I know you guys have been under probably a lot of stress with what's been going on. My heart goes out to all of you for this pandemic and its impacts on the world. It's one of those things that is definitely planned, and even people that aren't truthers can tell something is up, and everyone is looking for answers, including me. I didn't want to just talk about this without looking into some of the surrounding situations, but I also want you to know how to be prepared so that you can not only survive in these last days, but not be overcome with fear. Fear is the enemy. Fear is not from the Father. If you're experiencing fear, we need to deal with that, because that is how they can control us, and fear is one of the biggest weapons they have. It always has been. If it's a nuclear threat, a false nuclear threat, whatever it is, fear has been used to control mankind since the beginning. So let's get started with some of this weird stuff. I'm going to come back and do another video with my wife. She has been really going to the Word on this to find answers, and I want her to share what she has found, because she is a very good biblical scholar. She reads, she studies, and she does not like to speak and be heard, but she has felt led to give some words of advice from the Bible. She was led to the book of Ezekiel, where it talked about the blood of those that you do not reach out to being on your hands, and she does not take that lightly. She feels like it's time to finally speak up, and she's very wise and really vigilant when she studies. She's way better than me at that when it comes to just sitting down and reading and focusing on what you're reading, and she ties a lot of things together. You know, women are just smarter than men in general, but I'll try to have her on soon to do a follow-up to this video. But I wanted to go over some of the crazy connections that are going on and point you in the direction that'll lead you away from the fear that they are trying to cause us to fall under. And the crazy things, when you look into this, aside from the predictive programming that has obviously been out there with the quarantines and all of the weird stuff you're seeing pop up on social media, it's definitely biblical in terms of how it could lead to what we talked about in another video, the fall of many by death. There is some things around the corner that are going to happen. We're in that last part, the end times, where it's the mixing together of the previous chapters. If you didn't see the video on the end time events, I will go over those really quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. I'll link that video in the description. But it basically was from one of the lost books, the book of Baruch, and it talked about the world being divided into 12 parts, and that all 12 of these will happen before the end. And when you look at this, it's going to blow your mind if you've never seen this, because it talks about the first part being the beginning of commotions. It doesn't give detail. It's a little vague on some of these. And in the second part, the slaying of the great ones. I really don't know exactly what that means. Kings, nations, the Nephilim. Don't know. I would say probably nations. And in the third part shall be the fall of many by death. Plagues, like things you see now, population control, world wars, all of the things that have already happened. In the fourth part, the sending of the sword. The fifth part is famine and withholding of rain. This has been well documented throughout history. This has happened. It's in the Bible. There have been years where this has gone on. And the sixth part, it says earthquakes and terrors. The seventh part says wanting. A lot of us are wanting right now, wanting knowledge, wanting information, wanting to know what's going on. The eighth part, this is where it gets a little creepy, and there is some truth to this. And I talked with my brother last night to someone, literally the most interesting interview I've ever heard. A woman who was married into the what they call Illuminati, or you guys would assume is Illuminati, and the Bavarian Illuminati specifically. Her testimony was blowing me away. We thought we had it recorded. After the interview was over, we found out the audio did not come through. It was definitely a weird situation where it didn't happen like it usually does. We were hoping she will come back and let us talk to her again, because it was probably the most interesting hour that I've ever heard and sat through. It'll explain a little bit about what this is talking about here. And these words don't look familiar. This is from the Sefer, so they're in their, original tongue, where it says a multitude of specters and attacks of the Shadim. These are ghosts or something widely feared, and we know ghosts aren't what we're told. That's actually demons. Widely feared, possibly dangerous or unpleasant. It's the Hebrew, and Shadim is the Hebrew word for demons or spirits, and also designates supernatural creatures. And a lot of us have done some digging into things like Area 51, where everyone kind of thinks that's alien related, but it has to do with these demons, wisdom of the fallen, and the way that technology got to where it is now so fast. And a lot of that is that wisdom, like you see in Enoch, where mankind was taught all of these different things, like smiting of infants in the wombs, how to make weapons. All of those things were taught to mankind, and that happened again on a whole new level. And that's why we're here using internet and making videos, is because of that same wisdom. And it's used to control us with media and all of the tricks of the enemy. And the ninth part says the fall of fire. We're seeing fire on a whole new level, almost like it's literally falling out of the sky. Fires all across Australia, the US. It's been happening a lot lately. And the 10th part says rapine and much oppression. Never had I ever seen that word before, but it means violent seizure of someone's property. So a lot of oppression going on. Definitely a lot of this has gone on, especially back with the economy collapses several years ago. Now we're getting close to the end. 11th is wickedness and unchastity, which literally means pretty much sexual immorality, but really wickedness. The wickedness we see right now throughout the world that is spreading. They're targeting our youth. You guys have seen this all. You've been warning people about it. We were warned about it when we were young, and we did not heed that warning. We partook in a lot of the evilness of this world, thinking it was innocent and harmless because everyone else was partaking in it. But the 12th part, this is where we are right now. The confusion from the mingling together of all those things aforesaid. For these parts of that time are preserved and shall be mingled one with another. These parts are being mingled together. The fall of many by death, the plagues, the demons, all of these things, the fall of fire, earthquakes, withholding of rain, sending of the sword, confusion, the beginning of commotions. People are acting like they've never acted before in my life. You guys are seeing it on the news. People are running in. They are beginning these commotions. They are being selfish and trying to look out for themselves. It's out of fear. Have some compassion for these people. Share some wisdom with them. Be of good spirits. Seek the Father's guidance on how to act. You are going to encounter things you have never encountered before in these last times, and it's because there is a lot of confusion from the mingling together of all of these things. I'll try to type all these up and paste them into the description for you guys so you can have them to share or create some sort of Google document, or maybe just share this presentation in general. But what's going to happen after all of this? Because Baruch asked Yahuwah, the Father, if these things would happen in a particular place or the whole earth. The answer was as follows: whatsoever will then befall will befall the whole earth. Therefore, all who live will experience them. What's going on right now, people? We are all experiencing this. It's befalling the whole earth. And for at that time, I will protect only those who were found in those selfsame days in this land. You're going to see a lot of people perish. That doesn't mean they're going to die forever and die the second death, but there's a lot of people who are going to die. Death is the enemy, the last enemy to be defeated. Does not mean the Father doesn't love someone because they pass on. Now, it says here, and it shall come to pass after these things, when the time of the advent of the Hamashiach, this is talking about the Messiah, the anointed one, the one most people know as Jesus Christ. The Hamashiach is fulfilled, that he shall return, because he's already been here, return in glory. Then all who have fallen asleep in hope of him shall rise again, we have hope. We don't have any reason to have fear. If you are one of the elect, nothing to fear. If you're one of the evil ones that run this world, your time's coming. You're very afraid. You're doing everything you can to muddy the waters, cause confusion, and cause fear. Fear is of the enemy. Don't let it take control of your life. We have way too much power, joy, and mercy than we deserve. And so we have nothing to be afraid of. You have nothing to be afraid of. And now looking into the fourth book of Ezra, which repeats the same thing. I think in the Bibles, the traditional Bibles, it's like 2nd Ezra, something like that. But it says here, "For the world has lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts, and the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part. And there remains that which is after the half of the 10th part." Well, let's go back to the 10th part real quick. "Rapine and much oppression." So the wickedness was increasing at that time. They were moving into that. That's what was going on. And let's see when these books were written, because me and my wife had to do some digging, and we found out they were written a little around 600 years. I think it was 587 years before Christ. A lot of time has passed, and a lot of things have happened since then. The 11th part definitely passed. We are now in the 12th part, I believe. I have a feeling that's where we're at. I don't want to say 100% sure that, yep, that's it. But you guys use your discernment and the Holy Spirit to kind of guide you on this one. I believe that's where we are. You guys can take that or leave it. But I want to look back at this coronavirus, where it plays into this, and some of the weird stuff about it. I come across things on social media, and I'm looking into this. And someone mentioned here Saint Corona, which is literally known as the saint against plagues and epidemics. It all goes back to Rome, where she was killed by the Romans after she was serving a Roman soldier in the city of Damascus, which at that time was Roman Syria. He was of Italian ancestry and had embraced Christianity. This was in the mid-2nd century. Not surprisingly, since the persecution of Christians was common at that time, and this is the real Christians, this is the people who followed what the Messiah said, prayed the way he said, used the gifts of the Spirit. There was a powerful move going on. The enemy was in fear and working to stop it. And so torture, causing fear, was a big part of the plan. It did not slow down the work that had to be done and that was prophesied to be done, but it definitely caused a lot of people to not speak out and do things that they would have and they should have done, including people like me. I've been remaining sort of private, not putting my face out there, not speaking up, and times are changing. I'm going to have to change, and I hope you guys pray for us and help support us, because this is one of those things that I'm going to be doing in the near future, which is pretty much coming out, putting my face and even our name as we do public speakings and things like that, simply because the truth is that important. And no, it's not because I'm brave. This is something that I've avoided doing because I did not want to lose my job and all of that, but I know that the Father will look out for us when we do things for His glory and not to be seen. That's not why I'm doing this. I do not want to be seen. Kind of like my wife, she's very shy. I'm very shy. We would prefer to do what we're doing now. But it says here, to continue on, among other things, this guy, Victor, who was the one of the guards, had become a Christian. They were torturing him. He had his eyes gouged out, kind of like Samson. And during this time, Victor was enduring the suffering. A young 16-year-old woman named Corona attempted to comfort him, showing him tremendous compassion and encouraging him to hold firm to his faith. For this, Corona too was arrested and killed, simply for giving someone comfort and telling him to stay strong. She was killed. And so, definitely did her part. Not someone that we should pray to or anything like that. A lot of people pray to the saints, and that's where the world as a whole is going wrong. We're not following the Father's will and His teachings. The Word has been altered by more than just Rome. The enemy has had his hands everywhere, but Victor was beheaded, and Corona was tied to palm trees that were bent and bowed downward. She was tied to them. Of course, they would tie the trees down, and then when they would cut the ropes that bent the trees, it would rip you apart alive. A horrible fear tactic and scare tactic to get people to not confess their faith, to not follow the Father and use the gifts of the Spirit that we all have access to, or to find that love and mercy and forgiveness that they are hiding because it's a game changer. It makes you investigate things like the shape of the earth that you would never look into. It makes you understand that this world is ruled by evil people who continue to do evil things, these biological warfares, because this coronavirus, air quotes, is most likely either there's really, to me, when I was first looking into this, three options: complete hoax, biological warfare, or somehow related to the 5G rollout. And people have been talking about that forever. Most likely, this is biological warfare, and there's a small chance that it is a mix of the three. That's an interesting thing to think about, is that all three of these things could be going on simultaneously, causing a lot of confusion, because I always thought, if this 5G thing does what we have suspected it can do, people are going to wonder what's killing everyone off, and this is a really good way to disguise that and give a virus and have a virus to blame it on. Is not the dumbest thing to do if you are sinister like they are. My wife has really been following the statistics of this thing and how fast it's spreading, and her and I see this a little differently. She sees it that people really are dying from some sort of biological warfare or virus, and I do not doubt that people aren't dying and that there is something they're using to kill them. But my thought was, who is making those tests and how accurate are they? It's similar to the voting machines. You got to look at who makes these things before you consider them valid whatsoever. And so when I did some digging, I found out that the CDC is the one that makes these tests. And it says here, instead, the CDC created its own in-depth diagnostics that could identify not only COVID-19, but also a host of SARS-like coronaviruses. Then, disaster struck when the CDC sent tests to labs during the first week of February. Those labs discovered that while the test kits did detect COVID-19, they also produced false positives when checking for other viruses. This kind of confirms my suspicion that they are making their own test kits that produce false positives for this. Not just the other ones, but for this. Who's to say that these are false, but these are true? You know what I mean? Because that is a good way to spread the fear, is have people that have the flu and would possibly already die from the flu or pneumonia and have them test positive for this. It would definitely create some chaos and fear when you're sending out a bunch of phony tests that are kind of like fake lottery tickets and people are buying it. Like Bart Simpson said in that cruise ship quarantine little clip where he said, they're buying it, and he was laughing. That's probably what someone or those up high are doing, is laughing. And I don't want to say up high, they're really powers of darkness and they call them in high places, but these are the scum of the earth people who control all of the wealth, or 99% of the wealth, and pretty much 99% of what everyone believes is controlled by these people. They are the puppet string pullers. And if you look at the big picture, there's not a lot of those people. There are literally just thousands of them, and that's how devout these people are, and in unison they are. If you notice a difference between them and mainstream Christianity, they are unified 100%. They don't have multiple translations of their Bible. From what I know, the Bibles they read are not banned anywhere. The one that we have is banned everywhere. It's divided. There's so many translations made of it, and it's the people that believe in it are persecuted or censored, especially the more deep you get into it and find out that the words are more true than we're being told. You're heavily censored like we are, especially in terms of creation and what we live on. That topic is a big no-no because it is leading people to find out that we aren't who we're told we are. We don't live what we thought we lived on, and the Father is far greater than we could ever imagine. Great is His mercy, and the long suffering that He has gone through is mind-blowing from a father's perspective. If I had to watch some of the things that He's seen, my children leaving and just not coming back to me like they should, it would be heartbreaking. So keep that in mind if you're not spending time with Him. Give Him the time and love that He wants and deserves from you. The Creator of everything wants time with us. That's humbling. And you guys are His beloved creations. He sent His Son for, and that is not a gift we should take lightly. It's something that we should embrace and accept and share, even if things like this happen. Give thanks always, because the gifts we have to come will wipe all this stuff away. This life is so short. I'm finding that out. There's a lot going on where I'm watching people die and seeing people suffer, and it's the hardest thing for me to witness. And especially most of you have been praying for our mother. I would ask that you keep doing that. She's going through a battle right now. The alchemists of this world have done everything they can to poison and hurt and harm all of us. And you see the side effects of that. And the Father has healed her in the past, and there's some little miracles that have happened with her that are kind of personal, but I do want to share at some point. But I would just ask that you guys keep her in your prayers. And I thank you so much for that. It does make a difference. We are all unified and praying with you too. If you have any kind of prayer request you want to send this way, or share with some of the people in the comments, because there are a lot of warriors out there that have came here and that are still here miraculously. And I thank the Father for your presence here. We are definitely in the end times, and it is a much needed blessing to have all of you here, the 5,000 or so that are here to stay. I am beyond blessed to have fellowship with you, and I am trying my best to do more live hangouts. I did a trial run where I connected directly to the router and was able to pull off a private live hangout, and it worked. So I will try to do that again. The only problem is I'm doing that from my living room, so I have to wait until everybody's asleep before I can do that. The cord will not reach my office yet, and I'm working on that and hoping to settle this problem. So thank you for your patience. I know I've promised live hangouts and things, and I am working to go that direction. It's just taking me some time due to the roadblocks. Now, before I go, and before we do our part 2 of this video with my wife, I want to share some words. The Father has given us the Spirit of truth. It also brings us comfort, and we are His children who have these gifts, and we need to put them to use. Speaking to myself as well, we need to go out, seek, and pray, and unite, and fellowship, even during these quarantines. You don't have to stay inside your house. You can sneak off and be a little bit dangerous and go somewhere and fellowship with people. We can do live hangouts over here if they have you really heavily secured. I will try to get that working so we can do that here, even if you have to hear, background commotion. I don't want to avoid doing that, because we really need to buckle down and get serious about our quest for truth, because time is running out to spread the truth, and it's very serious what's going on right now. It's not a joking matter. I would love to joke about it and make light of the situation to kind of lighten the fears, but the best hope we have to reduce these fears is the full armor of the Father that He has given us. He has not sent us here into battle with nothing. We have a great and powerful sword of truth, and as you can see, the sword of truth is being used to cut away the lies and wake so many people up that it's scaring, that it has scared those who have ruled over us enough that they have altered the entire internet to hide us. That's how pathetic and sad they are, that they can't just allow us to have an even playing field. So people like me and you guys are having to take to the streets, and that's scaring them as well. So look forward to the persecution. Don't dread it and think, oh, I'm being persecuted. It's something that's always gone on, and the Father is with you, and the reward will not be lost that you have for enduring such persecution. And I want you guys to know that we're all in this together. This isn't something we're alone doing. So when you're praying, know that all of us are praying together in unison. We're unified. They're going to try to bring peace to this world and then unify us all in a false unification. Don't fall for the things to come. My wife's going to talk more in depth on that, but I will be back soon. I love you guys. You all, as always, are a beloved creation of the Most High. May His love and grace be with you as you go through what is to come. God bless.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms glued to their televisions. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
Yeah. A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
That is so...
We do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've been holding on to, but it hasn't been tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but Wow. Oh, yeah.
So, we've got our deadly disease. The Center for Disease Disinformation predicts. With some degree of probability that the house cat flu might spread in the following hypothetical outbreak pattern. So, petter beware, that warm body on your lap just might be ready to destroy your tender victuals.
Built heaven and made it float. Royalty cruises.
This is General William Sullivan with an emergency message. I'm speaking to you from a CDC clean zone. Outbreak of the deadly Pandora virus is spreading rapidly. Unprecedented threat requires a worldwide quarantine. All ships must remain at sea until further. Humanity must endure. Virus? What should we do?
They're buying it. They're buying it. Chillingly plausible indeed, Joe Morgenstern of the Wall Street Journal.
Hello, I'm Tom Hanks. The U.S. government has lost its credibility, so it's borrowing some of mine. This is Tom Hanks saying if you're going to pick a government to trust, why not this one?
Did you see that?